My best friend in college died a few years ago. We used to see each other whenever I visited the Philippines, which was at least once a year since the turn of the century. He was a very decent religious guy. He was an accountant like me. And as usual, the topic of our conversations during our fellowshipping was about finances, taxes, budgets, and cash projections. He always mentioned about how Japanese and Chinese international corporations, in their future planning, do not only have 3 or 5 or even 10 years for their business plans, but of 100 or 200 years, so that they have an overarching goal that is always kept before them, so they could check periodically to make sure that anything they were doing in their company was on target. Kaya talo tayo ng mga Hapon at mga incheck sa negosyo. Masipag, matyaga, maingat at talagang pinag-iisipan nila ang plano at mga projection ng negosyong pinili nila. Kahit sa mga personal na buhay nila, nagbabudget sila at nagpaplano sa kinabukasan. Tayo, madami sa atin, bahala na ang attitude. Bahala na. Bahala na ang Diyos. Now, in my experience, I only remember doing maybe 10-year projections and plans at the most. But as usual, in my conversation with friends, I almost always, try to direct the topic into spiritual matters. We both grew up in private Catholic schools, so we are both familiar with the Roman Catholic doctrines and practices. And we were, you could say, devoted Catholics. So he was somehow perplexed when during one of my earlier visits, I told him I'm now a Protestant. And I remember one time he asked me, what's the big idea of this Protestant Reformation? So I have to think a little bit of what happened in the 16th century when the Protestant reformers of that time had to defend themselves to a watching world, and so they have to crystallize the essence of what their ministry and their movement was about. And out of that crystallization process came a phrase. It's Latin, of course. It was frequently used by Martin Luther. Not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, the German monk, the reformer, to declare the essence of the Christian life. And that is to live one's life, coram Deo. It means literally before the face of God. What Martin Luther was saying was this, that the Christian life means to live all your life in the presence of God. Noong huling luncheon meeting namin sa Alabang Town Center, ang usual meeting place namin, napag-usapan namin ang aming buhay Kristiyano. We both still have different views on the important doctrines of our salvation. We still try to reinforce our stance on the teachings of our churches. But as always, we try to disagree without cutting each other's throats. Hindi namin pinababayaan na ang aming pagdidebate ay maging sanhi ng aming pagkakagalit. Nakakapanghina at nakakapanlumo kapag hindi maunawaan ng iyong kausap kung bakit ang mga estatwang gawa ng kahoy o bato o pilak, tanso o ginto, o anumang metalya ay hindi nakakakita, nakakarinig, o makagagawa ng anumang bagay. Na si Birhing Maria o sino mang santo ay hindi mga Diyos na nakapagliligtas ng kaluluwa ng iba dahil sila ay mga makasalanan din. Kaya't wala tayong magagawa kung hindi ipagdasal na lang natin ang ating mga kaibigan at mga kamag-anak na hindi pa ligtas, na bigyan sila ng biyaya ng Diyos Ama, na maniwala sila sa Panginoong Hesukristo. There are times that we behave and perform with our lives, not for God, but for an audience to see it. And that our behavior when we're in secret may be different from how we behave when we're in the presence of people whose judgment or approval we seek. Natatandaan ko pa, ng mga teenager pa lang kami, pagka gusto naming mag-good time, palaging may isang nagsasabing, huwag dito sa Manila o Pasay o Quezon City. Baka may makakita sa ating kilala tayo. Baka airpat pa natin ang makilala, ang makakita sa atin. Yari tayo. Punta tayo sa Marikina, sa Kalumpang, o sa Bulacan, sa Bukawi. Maraming cabaret doon. We think, for example, of the prodigal son when he pleaded with his father to give him his inheritance early, how he squandered that money. But before he squandered that inheritance, what did he do? He went away into a far country where no one knew him, where he was anonymous, where he felt like he didn't have to live under the scrutiny of somebody who might possibly disapprove of what he was doing. Now, Luther say we should live our whole lives, not as people seeking the cover of darkness, where we have a secret life, a private life that is hidden from the gaze of our friends or of the authorities. But that our lives should be lived openly in the presence of God, before the face of God, practicing a kind of consciousness of God from moment to moment. So the big idea of Christianity is to live coram Deo, to live all of one's life in the presence of God, under the authority of God, to the honor of God, and to the glory of God. Jesus said it clearly this way: if you want to please me, do what I have commanded you. But to live this kind of life, obviously at the outset, it sounds rather idealistic, doesn't it? There's nobody that lives all their life in the constant sense of the presence of God. And none of us is so righteous that everything we do is in submission to the authority of God and done unto his honor and to his glory. We can say that religiously and define it theologically, but to put that into actual practice is not a simple thing to do. We can get excited and emotionally moved and have spiritual experiences where we make vows and promises. Oh God, you know, my life is yours. I promise from now on to do this or that or whatever. But through the day-to-day activities and pressures that come upon us, that zeal and excitement begin to fade, and we fall back into our old patterns, where we live in the absence of God, in defiance of God, and to our own glory. So what it means to please God is not simply to make a commitment or a vow, but to press forward through those moments and times when we are paralyzed and frustrated in our spiritual quest. Madalas na nangyayari sa umpisa, ganadong-ganado tayo. Gangho na gangho tayo. Paspas tayo. Para tayong si Speedy Gonzales. Pag medyo mahirap na ang labanan, medyo mabagal na. O nawawala na tayo ng gana. What I learned about life is that we have a tendency to make a running start with certain enterprises and get all involved and all engrossed in what it is that we are trying to learn or trying to achieve or trying to do. And as soon as we run into an obstacle or reach one of those difficult plateaus where we are paralyzed, that's where we quit. We say, I've reached the limit of my ability. I'll go no farther. But the only way to advance on any enterprise is to persevere through that level of paralysis so that we can get beyond the roadblock and move ahead. In fact, if you look at something, you will see that the higher we go in our attempt to master a procedure, the easier it is to get better and better after we learn how to make it to the plateaus. In Matthew 11:12, Jesus said, "And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." Now, I think that's a strange and cryptic statement from the Lord. I don't think he meant that the enemies of the kingdom of God use violence to try to oppose God. I think he is saying that those who mean business about pleasing God are not casual or cavalier in their pursuit of the kingdom of God, but like men of violence who storm the battlements of the enemy until they break through. Remember seeing in the movies when the Vikings or the Greeks or the Romans stormed the battlements of their enemies until they broke through, when they attacked the walls of their forts or castles? Like a woman who lost a coin, who sweeps the entire house, turns everything upside down. She's obsessed until she finds that coin. The kingdom of God is like a man who finds an extraordinary pearl that is so precious and so valuable that the person has a profound passion to possess that pearl, which is more costly than any other pearl, that he goes and sells all that he has that he might possess that single pearl. Jesus said that the kingdom of God is like a man who lost his son. I've already mentioned the prodigal son who goes to a far country and squanders his inheritance. You know the story. But when he came to himself, in utter degradation and humiliation after he lived with the pigs and smelled like a pig. With his head bowed and in tatters, he started to make his way home. He said, I will arise and go to my father. But the point of the story is that when that son was still at a distance, the anxious father, who knew nothing of what had happened to his son since his departure, saw his boy coming back. And we are told that the father leaped from his place and ran down the road and threw his arms around him and embraced him and ordered his servants to kill the fatted calf, get the family ring, and bestowed it upon his son. He said, because this is my son who was once lost and now is found. All these parables, the prodigal son, the lost coin, the pearl of great price, are parables that emphasize the importance of pressing on to the kingdom of God, the pressing beyond the point of paralysis, pressing when things become difficult. Now, you who are Christians, remember the beginning of your Christian experience. The zeal, the fire, the passion you had. You probably turned off all your friends. You were obnoxious and too pussy. And, and you were so excited you wanted to tell everybody about what happened to you. And so we all went through that. Marami akong mga kaibigan na pinilitan kong i-share ang gospel na nagmula noon na lumayo sa akin. Ayaw nang makipag-usap sa akin. Mga kamag-anak na hanggang ngayon ay nilalayuan ako at ayon sa kanila ay nasisiraan na ako ng ulo. Nasisiraan na ako ng bait. But we learn how to adjust, to accommodate our friends, and learn how to adjust our goals downward. We went into a sprint, then coasted and cooled off. Like in the beginning of the year, you said, I'm going to read the whole Bible this year, starting with Genesis, then quickly to Exodus. Then we hit Leviticus and faltered a little bit. Then Numbers, and we're really finding it harder to read for a while. Then before we even finish the Old Testament, we quit. We don't finish what we start. Ladies and gentlemen, what pleases God is somebody who signs up for the duration. Somebody who prays every day, thy kingdom come. Somebody who spends his life, not just the beginning of his life, his whole life, seeking the kingdom of God. I think it was Jonathan Edwards who made this statement. The seeking of the kingdom of God is not something that unbelievers do. The seeking of the kingdom of God is the chief business of Christians, and it's a lifelong pursuit. And I think that's what it meant to be a disciple. When I was young, I liked to collect comic books, especially the classics. You know, the Three Musketeers, Ivanhoe, the Count of Monte Cristo, Moby Dick, the Iliad, the story of the fall of the city of Troy. One of my favorites was Robin Hood, and I also saw it in the movies a number of times. I think it was Errol Flynn who played Robin Hood. I was captured by it. What a tremendous story. Richard, the King of England, had to depart, and while he was gone, his reign and his power and authority is usurped by the wicked Prince John, his younger brother. Robin Hood is loyal to the king, but the king is gone. So Robin Hood and his men are forced to live out in the woods, finding shelter there in the countryside. And so a price was put on his head. And we see the conflict throughout the whole story of one who is loyal to a king who is gone, but he will not submit to the usurper who has supplanted the rightful king. Robin Hood lives to please King Richard and not Prince John. I see no finer parallel to the call of the Christian who would please his God than to serve the one who is now enthroned as the king of this world. And in his absence, seek to please him, to honor him, and to obey him. Our goal as Christians is to please, to honor, and to obey the one and only true King, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. To love the one and only God with our whole heart, soul, mind, and strength. Let's live our life in the presence of God. Coram Deo.